Coming up on this edition of Second Alarm, we'll meet Gonzaga student Tori Sorenson, who survived a cardiac arrest thanks to CPR performed by Bystander and the incredible paramedics at the Spokane Fire Department. We'll also learn about the science of CPR and why good, hands-only CPR has been proven better than traditional CPR. And the old YMCA building in Riverfront Park gets one last use before the wrecking ball as a training ground for Spokane firefighters. Those stories and much more coming up on this edition of Second Alarm. Hello and welcome to this edition of Second Alarm. I'm Assistant Chief Brian Schaefer. Gonzaga student Tori Sorenson suffered a sudden cardiac arrest last year while playing basketball on campus. Thanks to great CPR performed by the fitness center staff and the efforts of our Engine 1, Tori is alive today to tell her story.
I was playing basketball in the gym and I just collapsed. I had no idea that I was at any risk and suffered a cardiac arrest. And luckily, thankfully, CPR was started right away.
I can't believe this is really happening. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Is this really happening? Is this really something I'm going to have to do? And, you know, time meaning milliseconds. All this stuff is flying through my head like, oh my gosh, really? And I just kept saying, oh, really, really? And honestly, I just kept asking myself that. And the time came when I just went, this is really what I need to do. I need to take over. I need to give CPR.
I never thought that CPR would have to be used on me, and it saved my life. And I mean, I'm so grateful for that.
A huge relief when the paramedics showed up, although I obviously didn't stop. I didn't feel like, even though they came, I had to keep going until they released me.
We started CPR on her and we did what we normally do on her. We knew we had a good chance with her being so young and fit. We shocked her a couple of times, got her rhythm back and got blood pressure, and off to the hospital we went. And to actually talk to her now is just unbelievable. We train and train and train for this stuff, but to see it come back, see it walk up and smile, it really takes your heart away.
Everyone who started CPR and, you know, shocked me with the AED, it's like a big family now. Like, I go see Andy, Ed, and Aaron in the fire station, bring them cookies during Christmas, you know, they're just like my uncles.
Early CPR by Carrie and Joe over at Gonzaga made all the difference in the world. They got on top of her. They knew she was in cardiac arrest. They started CPR immediately. By the time we got there, they were about ready to put the AED on her and carry that out and possibly defibrillate her there before we got there. However, we got there before they had it set up. The CPR that they gave definitely helped Tori. It kept blood going to the heart. It kept the heart primed with blood. We got there, we hooked up our machine, we saw that she was in ventricular fibrillation and we could shock that. We shocked that a couple of times, gave her a few medications, shocked it again and converted it back into a sinus rhythm. It's absolutely breathtaking what it did to see a person like that. I understand by talking to Tori and her family that only about 6% of those patients make it. She's got hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. A lot of times it's undiagnosed, but it's an inherited disease, and you don't know about it until it knocks you down. And luckily we got her back. She's one of the lucky ones.
I'm very protective of Tori. I'm extremely protective of her, and I just see her and think what an amazing person and what she's been through, and maybe I consider her kind of like a glass doll because I just am so protective of her, but I'm in amazement as to what she's been through, how far she's come, and just the person she is.
I'm here, I'm alive because of CPR.
Good CPR, quick defibrillation, made the difference for Tori. Dr. Scott Edminster, the medical director for the Spokane Fire Department, has more information on the science of hands-only CPR.
What happens in a cardiopulmonary arrest is that the person's heart goes into a rhythm called usually ventricular fibrillation, occasionally a pulseless ventricular tachycardia. But what happens here is that all of a sudden, all the muscles in the heart start to contract non-synchronously, so that even though there is lots of movement, there's no concerted contraction, there's no movement of blood. So if nothing is done for that person, they will die because they're not pumping blood. What those folks will respond to is a shock that basically gets the heart back into rhythm, so that all of those muscles will start to contract synchronously again and the heart will pump blood.
There you go.
But what you do with good cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, hands-only CPR specifically if you're a citizen responder, is you prolong that period of time during which a person's heart will be responsive to the electricity. So normally, say in Spokane, it takes us 8 minutes on average to defibrillate a patient who goes down in their home, because 85% of the people who have cardiopulmonary resuscitation or arrests in Spokane do it in their home. So I recently looked at all the numbers in the city of Spokane and found that about, roughly 80–85% of the people go down in their own home. It takes us 8 minutes on average to get there. There's a range, but that's the average. If you look at the curves that have been established for people's survival in this setting, what you find is only about 10% of the people will survive if they get shocked at 8 minutes. But if good chest compressions are started right away when the person goes down, you can alter that death curve, if you will, significantly, such that people will respond to electricity for quite a bit longer. And in fact, at 8 minutes, if CPR is started immediately, at 8 minutes, we have more like a 40 to 50% chance of saving someone's life, actually closer to 50%. There are a few components that are critical. Number one, rate. You got to go at about 100 per minute. So that's pretty fast, and it wears people out probably within about 2 minutes. What most studies show that people can do good CPR for about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it's important to switch providers. And when you do switch providers, it's very critically important that you don't have a prolonged pause. In fact, it would be best if there's no pause at all, because the perfusion of the brain and the heart is kind of a ramp-up phenomena. So it takes a while for you to actually get blood perfusing the heart and the brain. And if you stop at all, you lose the progress that you've made and you have to ramp up all over again. So it's very important that you not interrupt CPR. Again, 100 per minute is the rate that is preferred, and it's difficult for some people to remember 100 per minute or figure out what that is unless they have a metronome. So what I usually say is sing the song by the Bee Gees, da, 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 staying alive, and if you sing it at the rate that they sang it, then that pretty much will pace you at 100. So that's the first piece that's important, is the rate of 100, roughly 100. The second piece that's important is that you have to get a good chest compression. What the studies have shown is 2 inches. That means you got to push down really hard. 2 inches is a long distance. The third important component is that you've got to get your hand completely off the chest. You've got to get full recoil. The reason why this is very important is because the compression phase is what perfuses the brain, but the release phase is what perfuses the coronary arteries of the heart, which makes it responsive to defibrillation. So I like to say to people, when you're doing chest compressions, you got to think brain, heart, brain, heart, brain, heart. And visualize that as you're doing it, 100 per minute. Don't stop, press hard all the way up. And that's the important thing, and it's pretty simple.
The old YMCA building in Riverfront Park is being torn down this spring. Before the demolition started, though, Spokane Fire Department conducted firefighter survival drills in this building. Lieutenant Darcy Frazier has more on this unique training opportunity.
Okay, we got another notch. All right, 2 knots.
We're the Spokane Fire Department. We're down at Riverfront Park at the old YMCA building. It's soon to be torn down, and they've generously allowed us to come in and do drills in here, multi-company drills.
I'm following their rope, so if you stay put there, I'll go.
You have to be ready to operate in any building, any structure inside the city, and This building is in particularly good because it affords us the chance to do large area searches.
Sounds very close. I'm going to pay out some more rope, okay, because it sounds very close.
It affords us to be in small areas and have obstacles that we don't usually encounter, but we may encounter, and we have to be able to figure out how to overcome those obstacles. They have to go over walls, and they have to figure out how to get the whole crew over the wall.
Which foot are you going to put in? The left. Okay, so you're going to throw your right leg up and over?
Including that last member who has nobody to help them, lift them from one side to the other. They have to figure out how to get through downed wires so the wires don't entrap them and keep them in place, so they can just keep moving through the wires and get to safety. Upstairs, what we're doing is large area searches where a convention center, gymnasium, schools, where we'd have to go into a place that has a large footprint area. We have to efficiently search that and be able to find any victims, find any firefighters quickly, utilize our specific firefighter rescue tools, our rescue air breathing kit just for the firefighters. And then we have a confidence course, obstacle course downstairs that really challenges the firefighters. They've never been challenged like that before, and they seem to really, really enjoy the opportunity to, they do use their skills, but it's mostly teamwork of just working together and figuring out how to beat the building.
The Spokane Fire Department's Hazmat Team responds to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive emergencies in the city of Spokane and, if needed, even in the region. We caught up with the team recently as they practiced their decontamination procedures.
Well, the day we were setting up some of our decon corridors and checking out our water heaters and tent heaters in anticipation of all the big events in Spokane. This time of year, we're getting ready for Lilac Parade, Blooms Day, Hoop Fest, when we might have a lot of people downtown and the possibility of an incident. So this time of year we check our water heaters, tent heaters, and all our decon equipment in case we would have to be called for some type of decon situation. We're the only level A hazmat team in eastern Washington. The next closest would be the Tri-Cities, so we respond not only in the city limits but to all the surrounding counties, Stevens County, Pomeroy County. We could respond anywhere. In case of a decon, we may, in case of even a mass casualty incident, we may set up several different types of decontamination levels. The one level you saw with the shower and the 3 pools would be for the hazmat team. That might be one decon corridor. If we had patients, we may have the tent set up for ambulatory or non-ambulatory patients. And then if we had a mass casualty, we might be setting up 2 engines with nozzles and our aerials set up with tarps. If we had, let's say, 1,000 people that needed decon at a mass casualty incident, we would set up that decon corridor. So depending on the situation, we could be setting up one decon corridor. It can be as simple as a pool with a bucket, or it could be a 3-pool system with tents and heaters and maybe aerials and engine companies.
For Spokane firefighters, being ready to respond means being in top physical shape. Thanks to the efforts of the Labor and Management Group, the department has a new workout facility for personnel to train in on their days off. It's completely a voluntary program that is already showing significant benefits.
We're in the attic. Sweet! The attic is a gym here that we've put together. We've just celebrated our 1-year anniversary that we built originally to start training our recruit class. And then after our recruit class was done, we opened it up and now we've to the job. And we've been encouraging guys that work to come before shift and after shift and work out. It's awesome for the department and the firefighters. Obviously fitness is something that's important for our job, and this is a great way that the department and the union came together and support something like this. This is free for the department. We paired the hours. We started off initially 2 days a week. Now it's 3 days a week. We're open at 6 o'clock in the morning and and we stay open till 10. And we run group classes at 6 and 8:30, so guys can come before shift and after shift to get a workout. Nice job, Isaac, come on. The success, the key up here is that we've had certified staff trainers up here who have gone through some classes and some courses, and we've been taught to, everybody's become pretty knowledgeable on basically on how to scale the exercises and the workouts. So we've got people who don't work out at all, who are just starting a workout program, absolute beginners, and we've come up here and we've worked with them, and then we've got athletes who've come up here, they've been working out for years. And with the amount of equipment we have and the knowledge of the trainers, we've been able to scale the workout so that they've been successful for everybody. So everybody's benefited. It's been really good.
That's all for this edition of Second Alarm. You can catch older episodes on our YouTube page. Also check out our homepage at www.spokanefire.org. If you have any questions or comments, drop us an email at fire@spokanefire.org or give us a call at area code 509-625-7000. Thanks for watching and stay safe.